When it comes to living life, there's a lot to overthink, but I don't ever have to overthink my water. I've been drinking Smart Water for years and truly love its pure, crisp taste. It's vapor distilled through a process inspired by clouds. I love chic branding, and Smart Water's sleek bottle shape makes it the perfect accessory for any day bag, workout tote, or backpack. Smart Water is the smart way to hydrate no matter what you have going on in your life. Life is full of choices. Smart Water is a simple one. Visit drinksmartwater.com to learn more.
Hear that? Yeah, that's the sound of you relaxing, because now you're managing diabetes with the Freestyle Libre 3 system. You get to know your glucose levels and where it's headed. Manage your diabetes with more confidence with the Freestyle Libre 3 system. Ready to learn more about the #1 prescribed CGM in the U.S.? Visit freestylelibre.us to learn more. Based on retail sales data for patients' last filled prescription by manufacturer. Refer to the FLAIR NL4 study published in BMJ Open Diabetes Research and Care 2019. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
Homes.com knows having the right agent can make or break your home search. That's why they provide home shoppers with an agent directory that gives you a detailed look at each agent's experience, like the number of closed sales in a specific neighborhood, average price range, and more. It lets you easily connect with all the agents in the area you're searching, so you can find the right agent with the right experience and ultimately the right home for you. Homes.com. We've done your homework.
Welcome back to Currently with Curator, where I share my latest style obsessions, all of which you can access through my shopping community, Curator. I don't know about you, but I've been in the mood for a little extra glam these days. So I curated a few new sets that make getting dressed up so simple and so affordable. My new favorite is our To the Nine set, which includes a black faux fur stole, a matching box clutch, plus a silver herringbone necklace. This trio of the chicest accessories is valued at $139, but it's yours for just under $60 when you shop it on Curator. Even better, I'm giving you 20% off your first purchase when you use code HEELS20. Just head to Curator.com. That's CURATEUR.com. Code HEELS20. Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel Zoe, and you're listening to Climbing in Heels. This show is all about celebrating extraordinary women who will be sharing their incredible journeys to the top, all while staying glamorous. Today with me, we have my very dear friend, Tinx. She is a genius content creator and influencer, and through her thriving platforms on TikTok and Instagram, she truly has become the internet's big sister. I'm so excited to speak with Tinx, so let's do it. You know, I always like to go a little from the beginning because I need to know, all of a sudden it was like this post-pandemic life, and my entire office is talking about Tinx. And they're like, Rachel, you are going to love Tinx. You're going to love her. Because they know I'm very like, I'm Virgo.
Yeah, I know. I was just going to say, I really do think that we're cut from the same cloth. Right away when I met you, I was like, we're really the same. We are work hard, play hard. Yeah. We're, get it all done, but with a smile on our face.
Also take our jobs seriously, but not ourselves.
Exactly. And that's my favorite trait in a person. And you do it so well. Like, you take your work so seriously, and that's why you're so successful, and you run such an amazing multiple businesses, but you still have fun. You laugh, you do it. You're out. You're a great mom. It's just like we do it all.
The one thing that I can't do is take myself too seriously, because I think I'm literally at that point, I'm done. Like, I just can't, because
totally
you gotta laugh, right? You have to laugh.
And especially in the worlds that we play in, you know, fashion and beauty and influencing and all this stuff. There's a lot of people who take themselves very seriously, and it's just a little bit
much
tiresome. It's like,
Agreed.
It's like, relax, we're not heart surgeons. It's okay.
No. So, by the way, it's so funny. I used to say that, like, when I was working in New York, and people were like, I would work like 20 hours a day, right? But it was sort of like, I'm very clear that I'm not a brain surgeon. Like, I'm very clear we are not saving lives here, right?
Right.
I treated my job as though I was most of the time, but I think it wasn't until after I had children, to be honest, that I was like, okay, so this is work, this is love, this is, it was sort of like this very different, like, light bulb moment. So there's so many things about you that I think people don't necessarily know, but certainly one of the things that I think everyone should know if they don't is that my friend Tinx actually graduated Stanford University, which, by the way, like, Skylar wants to go there because it's in California near mom. He also offered to go to UCLA, which is 3 minutes from me. Fabulous. I know at 17, that's going to change. He's going to like move across the country or across the world. But Stanford, I mean, so it's funny because I don't think that most people didn't know I even ever went to college, right? Yeah. So when I'm talking to you and I'm like, shit, this bitch went to Stanford, dude, that's no joke. Like, that is for real. And I think I do like to ask people, the women on this podcast, because I don't think your education in any way defines you. No. I really don't. But I do often ask sort of the history of their education, because some people are done in high school. Some people are done younger than that. Some people go on another 10 years after high school to do school. Yeah. So were you just like a student? Were you just like obsessed?
I really, really wanted to, I really wanted to move to California, and I grew up in London, and I always had this like image of California and it just being this place of pioneers, like where pioneers go, and that spirit, that Californian spirit where it felt like there was very little pretentiousness in California. So and to be honest with you, I watched a lot of Laguna Beach and the OC, and I was like, these people really have it figured out. So totally. Applied to a bunch of schools, never thought I would get into Stanford, and then got in. And it was such an incredible experience. I really have to say, it was I just feel like I spread my wings there. Yeah. Like, I went to a super strict all-girls school in London.
Which is hardcore.
Hardcore, no boys, like uniform, everything. And then all of a sudden I like arrive. I'm like 19. I get off the plane. It's like sunny. There's palm trees, and everyone's like, let's like smoke weed and like have a beer. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, and it was also just this very academic place, which is great because I really love to read. I was an English major. I love to write. I got to just do that for 4 years, and it was really cool. And I think, Stanford, I don't know what it's like now. I'm sure it's changed a lot since the 10 plus years that I've been there. But at the time, it was very much like, be yourself, like be weird, like whatever you're into, go do that, pull that thread,
embraces whatever you
embrace it. Yeah. So it was a great experience. And I feel super, super lucky to have gone. It was awesome.
Amazing. And then, I mean, it's so impressive. And listen, you know, people that are disciplined when you meet them. And I think for me, college, don't ask me what I learned. I can tell you I grew up. I can tell you I grew up there 100%. And I say that to my kids.
Yeah, you're so right. Like, our education doesn't define us, and everybody takes something different from it. Yes. And it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. There's a journey for everybody. And it can be, I think about, I don't have kids yet, but there is so much pressure on, how old is your son? He's
11 and 8.
And they're already thinking about like, oh, I want to go to Stanford. Like, it's insane.
I know.
And it's like, especially in the big cities, whatever. I remember I just used to think it mattered so much, where I went. And I ended up going to Stanford. But if I could go back in time, I would tell myself, like, everyone kind of lands where they're supposed to. And it doesn't define you as a person, as you so eloquently said.
No. But to your point, I think there's such great takeaway from it, and especially you coming from London and from an all-girls school. That's a whole nother thing. Yeah. And may our queen rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
I will miss her so much.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
And okay, so I think like I always like to know, when did the light bulb go off? Okay, so like you, and obviously, you have such like a long story, so I don't want to make you go all the way back, but I think young Tinx, what were you like, this is the dream. You're in a uniform, you're in an all-girl school in London, one of my favorite cities in the entire world after Paris.
Yeah.
And I want to go to California, but like, okay, I'm a little girl. Where am I going? What am I doing? Who do I want to be?
I always thought I was going to work in magazines.
Okay.
I always loved fashion. I really had this image that I was going to go to Stanford and then I was going to move to New York and I was going to work for a magazine. And then I went to Stanford and I fell in love with California in a really deep way.
Yeah.
And I wanted to spend more time there and I didn't feel ready to go to New York. So I was like, okay, what fashion brands or where can I work in San Francisco? And Gap headquarters are there. So I went to work at Gap for a couple of years and then worked at a really cool fashion startup, at the time a startup. Now it's a super, super company, Poshmark, which is like buying and selling, so
First investors in.
Really?
Love
Oh my
Posh.
God.
Yep.
I love
The best.
Poshmark. So such a cool, so I was still working in fashion and marketing and all that stuff, but it just did it from a different angle. And then I was like, okay, let me try New York. Let me try this world of editorial. I went back to grad school. I went to Parsons for a master's in fashion journalism. That time around just didn't settle with New York. I really missed California and I missed the people and the weather. And then after I graduated, I was like, well, let me try LA because that might be the perfect in between.
Sure.
And I've been here ever since. And then that's when I started influencing or TikToking or whatever you want to call it in the pandemic. So it's, I always tell people as well, like you can have many different careers and you need to stop thinking about your career as like one long line because that's what you used to tell you, you climb up the ladder, whatever. I don't think that's true at all. I think it's far better to think of your career like you're stringing beads on a necklace. They're all different and they're going to all be, but they're all adding up to something beautiful. You don't know what it's going to look like yet, but it's all going to be cool. So if you're in your 20s, you're feeling lost. If you're in your 30s, you're feeling lost, whatever, it's okay.
Yeah.
You might not find your thing. I found my career when I was 30.
Yeah.
So it's 100%.
Fine. You can't, the thing that I scream at the top of every mountain that I can and say to anyone who will listen, especially young people, you can't overplan your life. You absolutely
100%.
cannot because you set yourself up for failure and let down.
100%.
And not failure in the literal sense, failure in you think you have failed because you didn't meet the guy by 27, get married by 29, have your first child at 31. Like it doesn't work like that. And the same applies to your career, right? And so I think what I want to understand is, so here's this brilliant girl. Here is this ambitious girl. She loves LA, or she loves California, which I get because I'm from East Coast and always wanted to live here. I spent a summer here when I was 16 at UCLA. Wanted to live here ever since. My parents wouldn't let me. So I lived in New York for 11 years and then Raj and I moved out together and here we are. So my question is, were you in like a career crossroads? Like, were you in this sort of like, because I remember a meltdown at 25 on the floor of my New York apartment, about to go freelance, terrified out of my mind. I did it, but I remember sobbing. Like every decision I make at 25 is going to make or break me, like that thing. And so my question is sort of, to me, out of thin air came Tinx, which I know is not the case. And I know that there's years of things that happened prior. And so my question is sort of like, in the pandemic, you're lying there and you go, okay, I'm bringing Tinx to TikTok, or what happened?
Yeah. You know what? I was honestly I was freelance at the time. I was consulting for a bunch of brands, but nothing was really sticking. I had moved to LA kind of on a whim, just on like a gut feeling. And I wasn't totally rocking LA, I would say. Okay. I really was kind of just like doing random odd jobs. And I was like, well, this might be like the one time that I went too far, having all this self-doubt and panic and then the pandemic hit. And I was like, well, I'm probably gonna have to move home. Like my life is a failure. We're all gonna die. Like whatever. Yeah. We're all panicked. And I was just like, I didn't
mean to laugh. I just feel like that's actually what everybody was thinking.
No, everybody was like,
it's more like a nervous laugh. Like, yes, that's actually what happened. Yes.
Like I was so far away from my family. I couldn't get home. And so I was just like sitting on the floor of my, studio apartment in LA where I had barely just moved. And I was like, I have a urge to create things to make people laugh. And I actually, for the first time in my life, don't care if people judge me for that or if it doesn't get views or likes or whatever. And I think it was a combination of like my age and the situation in the world and where I was with my career, where I was like, I really have nothing to lose. Like really, really have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
I might as well do it. And like the second that I made my first video, I just was like, this is light bulb, like total light bulb. Like I want to make people laugh. I want to make especially women feel good about themselves. I want to connect through comedy and storytelling and advice and all that stuff. And it was the most natural thing in the world. It was like a fish in water. And I was just like, wow, this is so crazy that it took almost like reaching, not rock bottom, so to speak, but like, that point where, and then I was just like, it's been a wild ride since then.
And I think that goes back to you absolutely cannot overplan your life, right?
Exactly.
Imagine if you had 7 other things you needed to check off, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And instead you just said, this is actually what I need. And this is what my gut is telling me I need to do in life right now, right? And if it doesn't work, who cares? Because I'm going to move home. Right.
Exactly.
So who cares?
Gut feelings are guardian angels. And sometimes you just have to listen to them and just go for it.
And I bet it was real therapy for you and probably still is, right? Because you just get to like,
create. I'm just so much, I'm happiest when I'm just literally creating, whether it's a TikTok, whether it's Instagram story, whether it's, a piece of content, whatever. I'm just so happy. And I always used to hear people say like, oh, if you find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And I was like, okay, they're lying. Everything, that can't be true. And then I found this and I feel genuinely so lucky every day that I get to do what I get to do because it doesn't feel like work. It feels like a joy. It feels like a privilege and an honor. So it's very cool.
When it comes to living life, there's a lot to overthink. Like most working moms, I'm constantly juggling my work and my family life, and sometimes all that decision making is truly exhausting. But at least I don't ever have to overthink my water. I've been drinking Smart Water for many, many years and truly love its pure, crisp taste. It's vapor distilled through a process inspired by clouds and has added electrolytes for taste. The first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, every morning, is head down to my kitchen to drink water. Hydrating with Smart Water is my favorite way to start the day, and making that simple choice is such a refreshing change of pace from the whirlwind of my life. Starting my day by focusing on myself and my health is so important to me. I'm always a lover of chic branding and packaging, and Smart Water's sleek bottle shape makes it the perfect accessory for any day bag, workout tote, or backpack. I absolutely love how the rounded bottle fits perfectly into my kids' side pockets for school or camp. Smart Water even looks chic displayed on any counter or vanity in my house. As most moms know, it can be tricky to get kids to drink enough water, but my boys absolutely love the taste of Smart Water, and the sports cup is great for their very, very active days. Smart Water is the smart way to hydrate no matter what you have going on in your life. Life is full of choices. Smart Water is a simple one. Visit drinksmartwater.com to learn more.
My dad works in B2B marketing, but I never really knew what that meant. Then one day my dad came by my school for career day and told everyone in my class he was a big MQL man. Then he just kept saying things like, the more MQLs, the better, over and over. My friends still laugh at me to this day. I think it means marketing qualified lead. One thing's for sure, I'll be known as the MQL man's kid for the rest of my days. Why couldn't you just be a fireman or a lawyer? Why? You ruined my life, Dad.
Not everyone gets B2B, but LinkedIn has the people who do. And with ads on LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people based on job title, industry, likelihood to buy, and more. Start converting your B2B audience into high-quality leads today. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/customer to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/customer. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
AI might be the most important new computer technology ever. It's storming every industry, and literally billions of dollars are being invested. So, buckle up. The problem is that AI needs a lot of speed and processing power. So how do you compete without costs spiraling out of control? It's time to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. OCI is a single platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs. OCI has 4 to 8 times the bandwidth of other clouds, offers one consistent price instead of variable regional pricing, and of course, nobody does data better than Oracle. So now you can train your AI models at twice the speed and less than half the cost of other clouds. If you want to do more and spend less, like Uber, 8x8, and Databricks Mosaic, take a free test drive of OCI at oracle.com/strategic. That's oracle.com/strategic. oracle.com/strategic.
Now, a word from our sponsor, Genesis. Okay, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I used to absolutely dread driving around LA. I mean, the traffic, the stop and go, the blaring sun always getting directly into my eyes no matter what time of day. But thanks to Genesis and their all-new G90 sedan, driving around here is kind of awesome now, especially in style. The G90 luxury sedan is the flagship vehicle of the Genesis line. And I have to say, it actually curates your mood with 4 different settings. It actually engages all of your senses, sets the music, even though Roger and I disagree on all of our music, ambient lighting, and I'm an absolute maniac about lighting because, it's all about lighting, actually. So many fragrances to choose from. It's literally like being in a spa in a car. Not lying. Plus, with the touch of a button, the easy closed doors make getting into the car so easy. And I happen to have 2 boys running around all the time, and actually getting them into the car is one of the greatest challenges of my day. I love that there is a power massage in the front seats and available in rear power seats. The massage is so good that you actually don't want to get out of the car. It's actually fine when you're sitting in traffic or you're waiting for my husband to get me coffee, something like that, or you just need a quick on-the-go massage. The Genesis G90 is honestly mind-blowing. And I have to say, for those who are making their mark on the world and want to enjoy luxurious amenities while they do it. Check out genesis.com for more information on the all-new Genesis G90. I believe that, actually. I do. And then in those hard days, those days where you do want to kick and scream a little, I always hear my dad going, well, that's why they call it work.
Yeah.
He would be like, if you love your job 95% of the time, that's the gift. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And you have to get reminded sometimes, okay, but it is still my job, right?
It's still a job. It's still, yes. And then it's so important to remember that. And yeah, there's always those days where you're like, okay, this is what it is. Got to just slog through it.
Do you have a fear? Because I know I do in some way. And I know that we're living in such an insane time where, for me, I'm afraid to say most anything a lot of the time. Do you, because you have such a loyal following, do you feel you have to really think 100 times before you say something? Because I have friends that are comedians. I have friends that are actors. I have friends that are musicians. I have friends that just, are on talk shows or podcasts. And they're like, we're actually scared to
for sure
make jokes anymore, or scared to. And I'm like, what is this? So I don't have the answer, and I don't have any judgment. I'm simply saying, does that ever govern your thoughts?
I think, yes, we are definitely in a time where we have to be super careful of what we say. But I actually think that a majority of people feel the way that you and I do, which is most people aren't trying to be harmful. That's what I think. It comes down to intent. Yeah. And I think
I agree.
People know that I have a good heart. People know that other people have a good heart. It's might we slip up and say something? For sure, that's always a risk, but it's
human error.
If someone shows up for you, I'm on my phone 365 days a year making content for free, trying to make people feel good. And it's most of my followers know that's my intent. And the rest is just life. If it happens, it happens.
I just block haters out of my community. I got to that point. I'm like, bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. And there's always that thing of there's always going to be people who wake up and try to misunderstand you, right?
yeah.
There are some people who are just, they don't, and I wish that I could say to them, if you don't like my content, that's more than okay. Please feel free to block me. Don't look at my page. But the idea that you're coming like and seeking it out when you know it annoys you, just that doesn't make any sense to me.
I agree. And I'm definitely someone who is vulnerable in situations. And so I actually learned from someone I was interviewing the other day. She literally got in like this with this big old smile and she goes, I don't welcome that shit in my world. And I was like,
Right.
right.
I like that.
I was like, right. And she goes, so it doesn't come around me. And I was like,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's right.
No, and it's true.
Like
Well, and I think
Shield.
like it's that's genius. And it's just like, I think it's hard for certain personality types who do, I know that you feel very deeply. Like I can tell from just knowing you a little bit and you're on your Instagram. And it's like, if you are a deep feeler, like that stuff can hurt. And it can be hard, especially as a people pleaser and as someone who wants to do everything perfectly. Those little comments, even though they're nonsensical, can be very bothersome because you're like, but I'm doing such a good job for everybody else. Like why, but at the end of the day, you can be the ripest, juiciest peach in the bunch. And there's still going to be someone who doesn't like peaches. And that's what I have to remind myself.
No, you're right.
I was just with Gabby Bernstein and I was like,
she's
amazing. She's amazing.
She's
soul
amazing.
sister, unbelievable.
Love her.
And I was like, I'm having a tough time with trolls. And she just says, block and forgive.
Yeah.
Block and forgive. And it's like, it's so simple. It's kind of like what your friend said too, but it's like, don't welcome it in your world, block and forgive. And like, that's really all that we need to say about it because the rest of it just doesn't even make any sense.
You're right. No, you're right. And I really am going to try and bring that energy because I think the energy it's us. It's almost like weird. It's almost like not them. We're letting it affect us.
Exactly.
In that way.
100%.
So tell me about, I remember texting you and you were doing something and you go, because I just live on another planet sometimes. And I go, wait, what's RM?
Rich mom stuff?
Dead. And I was like, wait, okay. So first of all, I'm obsessed. So you have to just explain to me, you have to tell me because I think it's hysterical, honestly. Yeah. And I know it well.
It's honestly a combination of things, but I always used to on my Instagram when I was living in New York, like take pictures of my outfits and then like make up little rich mom characters. Right. I have no idea why. It was just something I did for fun. I think it was because I was honestly in grad school and I had a lot of weird free time like in the middle of the day. And I was living in Tribeca and I'd be like at a yoga class with all these rich moms. And I was like, each of them has a story and I think it's so interesting. And then one day I thought, well, what if I made like a little TikTok about it? And because I've lived in, so many different cities and I love what makes a place a place. Like I love knowing about the little mini societies within cultures and all that stuff. And people loved it. And so now it's just, so that's one side of it. And then I always say the other side is like rich mom energy. And you don't have to be rich and you don't have to be a mom to embody rich mom energy. It's like, it's a feeling, it's a vibe, it's getting shit done with a smile on your face. It's just like rich mom energy.
I love it.
But it's very fun. And it's one of my favorite pillars of my content and people love it. And we have a laugh with it.
I love it. I always love something that is like calling something out. And it's not a negative in any way. It's just simply saying what it is. And I know that world very well. And so I think I just know exactly what it means on some level. And again, none of it negative, just simply like observation and then partly kind of aspiring to it and partly like
exactly. It's like half satire, half aspiration. And people love to like, see, oh, well, that's a rich mom thing. And like, I get that thing or whatever it is. It's a very fine line to toe. I never want to be making fun at all. It's more just like funny. It's just like a little,
I think it's fantastic. I honestly love it. And I think it's awesome. Okay. Dating life. So you talk a lot about that.
I talk a lot about
dating. A lot about that. And listen, I have so many women in my life. Ages literally 18 to, even younger, to God knows, on their second marriage, third marriage, never been married. Like there's nothing I don't have in my life and that I don't have conversations with for hours and hours. And it's something you obviously talk about a lot. I guess like what's the dream? Like what's your dream if you should have one about sort of where you see see yourself in the happily ever after, whatever that looks like?
I definitely want to have a partner and have a family. I think where I try to give my advice is so many women waste so many years being sad, being single. And I think that two things can be true at the same time. You can long for love and you can be excited for the day that that love comes into your life, but you can also fill up your own cup. Yes. And be happy in yourself and have a very bright and happy and sparkly life. And that's at the root of every message, of every podcast I do, of every, DM I answer for anyone out there. Because I just think it's, we've made women feel so miserable about it all. We've made dating be this chore and it's stressful and the onus is on the woman and you have to find a guy before the time you're 30 or you have to do this or you're a sad cat lady or whatever. And I just don't want people to waste their life. I always, like, for example, yesterday a girl asked me, she was like, can you tell me how to be patient, like, for my love? And I was like, if I told you, imagine I said to you, in a year from now, you're going to be engaged to the guy of your dreams. You're just going to have bought a house. You're going to be so happy. You're going to be in love. How would you spend the next year of your life?
Right.
You would relax. You would spend time with your friends. You would enjoy special time alone. You would take trips with your girlfriends. You would, I don't know, take up a new hobby because you would know that it's coming. And so that's how everybody should live, because the actual percentage likelihood of someone dying alone is so that's the other thing I always say to girls. I'm like, why do you think you're so special? How many people do you know who actually die alone? Everybody gets together with someone. Relax. True. It's coming, So I just want people to put the fun back into dating and to stop settling, because there's a lot of that goes on too.
By the way, it's interesting because I sit in such a different place, but yet I share the exact same thoughts. And it's what I say to people. I think the minute you stop obsessing with finding that person is the minute you actually find the person, because the person is attracted to someone not looking for the person.
Exactly.
The men, women, whoever it is, are attracted to people that have themselves sorted out. Yeah. It's not a healthy relationship to date someone that's trying to get the person that needs the person, right? Like that's the needy, like, fill my cup. You're responsible to fill my cup. You're responsible for my happiness. No, I'm happy. I'm good. You're actually a compliment to me. And like, that's why this is going to work. Right. And
exactly.
It's equal.
Yeah. And the relationship
totally
will be stronger. And like, I love that the mantra, water seeks its own level. So it's like, if you're vibrating high, like if you have a full life full of friends and work and love and all that good stuff, like you'll meet someone who's at that level with you, as you're saying. And that's what you want. Like, you don't want someone, you can't wait for someone to make you happy. You really can't.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. It really doesn't. You think that they can fill you up, and it's like maybe they can for a little bit, a couple months. But
comes out later.
It comes out later, and it's
it could
like
be 5 years.
You want it to be strong. Like it's like a merging of two like strong companies. Like that's what you want, and that can both add to each other's lives. But yeah, I think people, like, the more focused on yourself, like not in a selfish way, but I mean, focus on your own personal growth and your own self-worth. And like, are you a good person? Like, are you giving back to the people that you love? Like, that's when you meet the great person.
100%. And I think, to me, you seem very satisfied and very happy, definitely not complacent. Do you ever think about like, okay, so where do I go next? Because for me, and as from Virgo to Virgo, I always want to be the best that I can be in whatever I do, right? But then I also don't get complacent. I can't. So I have to think about, okay, what's next? And it's not that I say I'm doing this next, but the opportunity that ultimately presents itself or just happens to happen, I like to then spread my wings in other directions. I just do. I get bored. I have to keep going, and I got to keep trying new things. So you're very young, and I think like my question is like, do you dream of something else that you're like, I can't wait to do this someday, or I think I'll do this someday, or no?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of things that I still want to do. I feel like I'm honestly just getting started.
Well, you are.
And I'm the same as you. I'm like, it's not that I'm rushing, but it's like I do get bored and I'm kind of like, well, what's next? Like I can add more and do more. There's so much. And I just feel like I can't wait. I honestly am so excited by it all. I just think that for me, I know I'll work literally till the day I die. Like I love to work and I love projects, and it just keeps me feeling so full and excited and all the time. But yeah, there's tons of things that I want to do that are just, I really just I mean, I have the podcast and the radio show, and I'm working on a couple really cool projects. My merch line is expanding. Like I feel very lucky every day.
We need to see Rich Mom stuff everywhere. I think that should be everywhere. I think that should be everywhere. You could have so much fun with that.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited.
I love it. And ultimately, what makes you the happiest?
Being with my friends, drinking wine, honestly, in Malibu. Like, I mean, honestly, Sunday we rented a boat and I was in, this is some real rich mom.
Babe, I feel like you're on a lot of boats lately. I feel like that's your new jam.
Love to see it. Love for me. No, but just being with my friends at the beach and just relaxing, like with the people that I love, honestly, it makes me so happy.
And you're very lucky. I don't want to undervalue the fact that you have incredible friends.
I don't at all. I know. I really feel so lucky. And I do feel super, super lucky about that. I really lucked out. It's a combination of like Stanford people and people that I've met, and even my team now I've become super close with. But I know that not everyone is blessed with that. And I do write that on my gratitude list every day. I just feel so supported. And you find out who your real friends are, because, when you start to come up and whatever, like a lot of people all of a sudden want to be your friends, but
some go away.
100%. I've lost friends too. And that sucks. But, really over the past couple of years, I've just doubled down on my friends, and I love them to bits. Love them to bits.
I love you to bits.
Same.
You're such a cutie.
You've always been so kind to me. And I knew before I met you that we would vibe, and you're just the best energy and someone I look up to. And honestly, when we were talking about relationships, I wanted to say, like, I think that your marriage is like, it's one of those marriages where I see it and I'm like, see, I'm not settling until I have that.
You better not.
And I think that that's important for people. And so many girls write to me and they're like, oh my God, like I'm jealous of my friend. And I'm like, don't ever be jealous. Don't ever be jealous. Instead, say, that is so wonderful. I can't wait for that to be in my life. Yeah. That's how you have to think about it, is everything in the positive, like everything. What do you want to call into your life? And you just have such a wonderful marriage. You're such a good mom. You're what we call in manifesting, like an expander, because you show me what's possible. You show me what I can have, and what with your family, your relationship, and your business, like the fact that you do it all is very inspiring to me and to a lot of people I know.
Well, you are going to have that. And I will say that to all the women out there who are so hard on themselves, and a lot of the people that you talk to and I talk to, you can't ever settle. You can't ever settle, because you're stronger by yourself than you are settling for 100%. Something that doesn't complete you and make you happy, because everything else goes downhill if you're not in that strong place. And you will have that 1 billion %. And you will. But I just adore you. I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing for so many people. I love your energy. I love your brain. And, and I personally am cheering for you.
Thank you.
Always.
I can feel it. I know. I can feel it.
I have my pom-poms, although I'd be the absolute worst cheerleader, but still, I'm rooting for you. I love you madly. This was so much fun.
So much fun. You're so easy to talk to. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Okay, it's that time in our podcast where I answer your weekly Ask Rachel questions. And today, the first question is, what advice do you have for a person that wants to get into styling? And the answer to that is, in the short version, because there are so many answers I have to that, because there's a lot of variables based on where you live and what you have access to. But I think in the simplest form, if you live in an area that isn't a big fashion city, I think the most helpful thing that you could do for yourself would be to get into retail. I had my first retail job on the floor at a 9 West in a mall, and helping those customers really taught me more than I ever realized until I got much older. And I think that when you work on the retail floor, you really get to see and experience all different types of people, body types, different missions for what they want when they're getting dressed, and, you know, all different shapes and sizes and personal styles. And I think it's just a great boot camp for learning the ropes in dressing people. And I think any opportunity is what you make of it. And for me, I just took such advantage when I was young and just loved it. And I just did so much more than was expected of me. And I think if you go at every opportunity you have like that, you'll just keep moving forward. I think if you live in a major fashion city or somewhere where there is a lot of personal styling, I think to the extent that you can assist a personal stylist, again, incredible experience. And, you know, if you live in LA or New York or somewhere where there is a lot of red carpet styling, then I think you do everything in your power to try and assist a stylist, because there's no better training than working for a great stylist. I also think you should know that there's not a lot of glamour to it most of the time, especially when you're building your career. So don't give up. There are glamorous moments, but know that you're doing it because you love it. Very commonly asked question to me, and I don't know how to answer it, but it's, what do you do to relax? And the answer to that is, I don't have an answer. No, the answer to what do I do to relax? I definitely don't do the typical expected sort of go get massages and facials and things like that. I'm really not good at self-care. My goal for this year is to try and get better at it. But I would say the way that I relax the most, truly the most relaxing thing for me, is if I have a night or a day in a hotel with or without my kids, truly, but a day that I can spend in a bathrobe, getting room service, going to sleep, and somehow getting more than 4 or 5 hours of sleep. That is honestly the most relaxing thing to me. Ideally, it's raining outside, so I don't feel pressure that I should be outside doing a million things. But that's typically how I would relax. Okay. Don't forget to submit your questions for next week's episode. All you have to do is DM us your questions to @ClimbingInHeelsPod on Instagram, and I might just answer your question. I mean, I just love her so much. She's just very raw and very real, speaks her truth, funny as hell. Personally, I just really admire people, especially young women, that say how they feel, because it's only recently in this generation that I think young women can finally use their voices with confidence and power and teach all their followers that they can do the same. And I think in this case, really being a mentor and friend to so many people that follow Tinx, that, you know, she gets very real about relationships and her journey and bad dates and all those types of things. And I think takes her followers with her on her experiences. And I think I'm just very impressed with her. She's obviously highly educated, but I think she has just the street smart and savvy to be the success that she is. So thank you so much for listening to this episode of Climbing in Heels. And don't forget to write a review wherever you get podcasts. I love it. And while you're at it, follow me on @RachelZoe and @ClimbingInHeels on Instagram for more updates on upcoming guests, episodes, and all things Curator. Talk to you next week. Mwah.
Hey, it is Ryan Seacrest. There's something so thrilling about playing Chumba Casino. Maybe it's the simple reminder that with a little luck, anything is possible. ChumbaCasino.com has hundreds of social casino-style games to choose from with new game releases each week. Play for free anytime, anywhere for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Kroger brand products have the great taste you'll celebrate. That's why over 40 million people choose Kroger brand products, making them a true crowd pleaser. And with quality guaranteed, you'll love your choice or get your money back. Score Kroger brand products with savings you can cheer for and great taste you can't resist. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Make this new school year an opportunity for your kids to learn important life skills with Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app for families where kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely, while parents keep an eye on kids' money habits. Greenlight also helps families get into their fall routine with a chores feature that lets parents assign chores and pay kids allowance when they check them off. Get your first month free at greenlight.com/iHeart. Greenlight.com/iHeart.